Hey there. Ever notice how your favorite snack suddenly costs more, but it's the same sad number of chips inside the bag? Or how your local coffee shop is charging more for a latte than your internet bill in 2010? Yeah, it's not just you. Everything is getting more expensive. But why? Did prices all just wake up one day, stretch their arms, and say, let's ruin someone's grocery budget today? Okay, let's talk about it. But we're not going to do it with scary charts or boring economics lingo. Let's do it with Bob. Bob is a totally average guy. He works a regular job, pays rent, buys groceries, and really loves chocolate milk. Like, a lot. Now, Bob used to buy his favorite chocolate milk every Friday for $2. Life was good. But lately, Bob's been noticing something weird. The same bottle now costs $2.89. And don't even ask him about eggs, Bob gets twitchy. He's convinced the universe is messing with him. But it's not the universe, it's inflation. Kind of. Here's the thing. Prices don't just go up for fun. They go up when stuff gets more expensive to make, to move, or to sell. And over the last few years, Bob, and pretty much everyone else, has been caught in a perfect storm of yikes. Let's rewind to 2020. Remember that? When we were all baking bread and pretending we liked Zoom. Well, while Bob was learning to make sourdough, the world economy basically hit pause. Factories shut down. Shipping got weird. And suddenly, the supply of everything from car parts to ketchup packets got squeezed. Now, here's where it gets wild. While stuff was getting harder to make and ship, governments, including Bob's, were also sending out stimulus money to keep people afloat. So, less stuff being made, but more money floating around. That's like throwing a pizza party with only one pizza, but inviting twice as many people. What happens? People fight over slices, and someone ends up crying over the last piece of pepperoni. That's inflation. More dollars chasing fewer goods. And that's just part one of Bob's chocolate milk tragedy. Next came the shipping disaster. You see, chocolate milk doesn't magically appear on the store shelf. It has to be bottled, boxed, shipped, and stocked. But shipping containers were suddenly in all the wrong places. Imagine trying to play musical chairs, except the chairs are boats and the music is stuck on loop. Ports were clogged. Truckers were overwhelmed. Fuel prices shot up. It became way more expensive to get stuff from there to here. And guess who ends up paying that extra cost? Yup, Bob. And also, you. But wait, there's more. Because once things finally started to smooth out a bit, another thing happened. War. When Russia invaded Ukraine, it didn't just make headlines. It made everything more expensive. Why? Well, Ukraine is a massive exporter of wheat and corn. Russia is a huge exporter of oil and gas. Disrupt that, and suddenly fuel prices spike, food prices jump, and Bob starts budgeting like he's on a game show. Now, you might think, okay, so it's just bad luck and bad timing. True, but there's one more ingredient in this mess cake. It's called expectation. See, prices aren't just about supply and demand. They're also about what people think will happen. Let's say Bob hears on the news that prices are rising. He rushes out and buys extra chocolate milk. The store sells out faster. They order more. The supplier sees the rush and raises prices. Boom! Self-fulfilling inflation prophecy. And it's not just Bob. Companies do this too. If a company thinks their costs will rise next month, they might raise prices today. It's like playing economic defense in a game no one fully understands. And once prices start going up, they're weirdly sticky. Like that gum on your shoe that's been there since last summer. Because when a company raises prices, they rarely lower them again, even when costs fall back down. Why? Because now they've gotten used to the extra profit, and investors love that sweet, sweet profit. So Bob's chocolate milk? Yeah, it might never be $2 again, even if cows go on sale. But hang on, before we start panicking and hoarding milk, there's one more puzzle piece we need to talk about, and it's kind of a big one. It's called interest rates. Now I know, snooze, right? But hang with me. Interest rates are like the economy's thermostat. When inflation starts to heat up, like it has lately, central banks, like the US Federal Reserve, raise interest rates to try and cool things down. It's basically them going, whoa there, economy. Let's not boil over. Higher interest rates make borrowing money more expensive. That slows down big spending on houses, cars, new businesses. And in theory, if people and companies spend less, prices should stop rising so fast. But here's where Bob gets hit again. Higher interest rates mean his credit card bill is nastier. That car loan he was thinking about. Now it's pricier. And the rent? Oh yeah, landlords are raising it to cover their more expensive mortgages. So even the solution to high prices makes Bob's life more expensive. Neat. And that brings us to the most frustrating part for Bob, and honestly, for all of us. Even though inflation is slowing down now, prices aren't dropping. They're just going up less fast. Which, let's be honest, feels like telling someone, hey, the house is still on fire, just slower. Bob doesn't care if inflation is at 3% instead of 9%. He just wants his chocolate milk back to normal. But here's the kicker. Prices almost never go back to normal. They just sort of become the new normal. And that's part of the sneaky, annoying magic trick inflation plays. Over time, we get used to paying more. Slowly, like a frog in a pot. At first, Bob's outraged. $2 for milk. Then $2.89 becomes the usual. Then $3.25. One day, he'll tell kids stories about the good old days when chocolate milk was cheaper than bottled water. They'll think he's making it up. Now let's talk about what's really driving this stickiness. People are expensive, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean wages, labor, salaries. Companies rely on people to make stuff, sell stuff, ship stuff, and fix stuff when it breaks. And over the past few years, people have been asking for, and sometimes demanding, higher pay. Why? Because the cost of living went up, so people need more money just to stay afloat. Now that's not bad. Bob deserves a raise. You probably do too. But when wages go up, companies often raise prices to cover that cost. And then workers say, hey, everything's more expensive. We need another raise. And the cycle continues. Economists call it the wage price spiral. We call it the wait. Why is my burrito $11 now? Spiral. Let's go back to Bob. Bob works at a warehouse. His company gave him a raise this year, great. But they also raised the prices on everything they ship, less great. Now their customers are charging their customers more, and Bob ends up paying higher prices for the very stuff he helped move. It's like getting promoted to a treadmill that goes faster. And there's another little wrinkle, corporate pricing power. That's a fancy way of saying, some companies raise prices just because they can. Picture this. There's a storm of inflation, supply issues, and chaos. Every company says, hey, we're raising prices because everything's more expensive. But secretly, some of them go. Also, maybe just a little more for fun? Not fun for Bob. Companies know consumers kind of expect higher prices now. So they test the limits. And let's be honest, if the price of something jumps from $5.99 to $6.49, how many of us really notice? Or push back? And if nobody's complaining, why stop? It's kind of like your little cousin asking for another cookie. You already gave them one, so what's one more? Before you know it, they've eaten half the jar and you're left with crumbs and regret. So yeah, some companies are definitely padding their profits a bit during all this noise. That doesn't mean they're evil villains twirling mustaches, but they do know how to take advantage of a moment. Meanwhile, Bob's just trying to figure out how to stretch his paycheck without giving up the things he enjoys, like chocolate milk, or cereal, or socks. And there's one final piece we haven't touched yet. It's you. No, seriously. Consumer behavior is a big part of this whole thing. When people expect prices to go up, they shop differently. They buy sooner. They buy more. Or they panic buy. Like that time we all decided to hoard toilet paper as if the apocalypse was going to be solved by double ply. And when people buy more now to avoid paying more later, it actually fuels inflation. It's like being afraid of rain. So you bring a giant umbrella, which bumps into everyone else's umbrellas, and suddenly no one can walk down the street. Fear of inflation creates more inflation. Even Bob's in on it. He bought 5 bottles of chocolate milk last week, just in case. But here's the thing. As this cycle keeps spinning, there is some hope. Eventually, demand cools off, supply catches up, and prices stop climbing so fast. We've already seen signs of that in some areas. Shipping is smoother. Fuel prices are stable, just slower growth. Imagine your car was speeding at 100 miles per hour, and now it's going 60. That's better, but you're still not in reverse. Bob's chocolate milk is probably not going back to $2. But maybe it won't hit $4 next year either. And in the end, that's what we're aiming for, stability. Weirdly, The economy works best when it's kind of boring, predictable, steady, when prices grow just a little, when people can make plans, when Bob knows what his grocery bill will be before he checks out. Because let's be real, nothing messes with your day like getting sticker shocked by grapes. So, in conclusion, the reason everything's so expensive all of a sudden, it's a tangled mess of stuff. Pandemic shocks, supply chain chaos, geopolitical conflict, corporate behavior, higher wages, interest rate moves, and good old-fashioned human psychology. We created a perfect storm of too much money chasing too little stuff, and it all landed on Bob's grocery list. Prices may not drop back to where they were, but they're hopefully done sprinting. Now it's about slowing things down, steadying the ship, and making sure Bob can afford his chocolate milk again without calling it a luxury item. If you want me to make other videos explaining these topics, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.